Yeah, I think the strength of them is the number of guys that they have that make a contribution. I think they have 5 or 6 guys that are around 50 innings. That's a lot. And then they have some other pieces that they like to use in short stints, and they use them well. It's one of the reasons they've had a great season and won a lot of games. Kind of start digging into where they're at recently here today and tomorrow, and probably have a little better answer for that. But they pitch well. Pitching coach has done a good job. Pitchers have done a good job. I think they know who they are and what their blueprint is for executing really well.
I guess kind of the same question as last week, and just like how much do you balance what you saw 2 months ago with what you've seen recently in terms of preparing for that?
Yeah, jumping into this and you see 10 teams in the SEC tournament, and even going before the selections are made, you kind of feel like you were going to play a conference opponent in this round. There are some things from that'll be helpful, and then you got to do your due diligence, like I said, to see where they're at today, and that served us well last week in Tulane, and so we'll kind of rework that process with Kentucky.
When you face a team that they're off like them offensively, where they play a lot of kind of small ball and manufacture runs, how does that shape the preparation for this week?
Yeah, it's just creating awareness for the players and understanding what they do, what the game calls for them to do to be successful, how to get them off track, and that we'll cover all those things, and we do that every week. They're just one of those teams that I've had a lot of experience against, but maybe teams in the SEC haven't had experience against, because it's definitely a style and a brand of baseball they're very committed to, that they do really, really well, that's not seen out here a whole lot. But having an opportunity to play against it for 3 games is helpful. It won't be a surprise, and we'll be very, very prepared to deal with it come the weekend.
What does this week look like in terms of preparation and practice for the teams with the Saturday start?
Yeah, it actually works out really well. It kind of works out like last week, because we finished on Monday. It kind of gave us that extra day. We met yesterday, got a bunch of physical treatment in for some guys, had a good workout today already, get a good dinner in them tonight, workout tomorrow, and then have the pregame workout deal on Friday. So you could kind of mimic the schedule we had last weekend pretty well. And there's a couple regards starting on Saturday helps you. That was one of them, because when you think about finishing on Monday and then going to Friday, wouldn't be that crazy because we play a Tuesday game every week of the season, but this allows us to reset a little better.
Your whole approach with every game's a playoff and game-by-game approach and not making things too big, is this the moment where you hope that really resonates when you're playing to go to Omaha?
I hope it helps in every game. I look at the SEC as a playoff in itself, because you have to find ways to win games that are really tough, and it's more of like, if you do it one way all the time, it doesn't change anything for you at this time of year, and you want your team to play in character, and I have as much trust in these guys to play in character as any team that you could have, because they've done it, and they've done it really, really well for a long time.
Kentucky had some success against Paul the last time you guys faced them. What do you think Paul can sort of learn from that start?
Yeah, he's great at evaluation, and given that was 2 months ago, he's in probably a different place than he was at that time. Their team's going to be different, and in terms of where they're at, but we'll look at it, and he'll look at it, and make the adjustments we need to make.
How have you seen Kentucky really grow in the last 2 months?
Well, I think they're an interesting case of the new college baseball, as we'll call it. We got a lot of attention for the transfer portal, and by adding, some superstar players, that we wouldn't be in this position today if we didn't add those players. They did a great job overhauling their roster and using it to overhaul their roster. They're one of the oldest teams in college baseball, and have a lot of veteran players, and they picked guys that they evaluated in that really, really well, and added to what they have. And they were close to an NCAA tournament team last year. You could even make an argument maybe they should have been in. And they have a lot of those pieces back too. So, I just see them as a really solid team that knows their identity really well, that plays to that identity, and has had a very successful season. And, when the brackets came out, I don't make many predictions in college baseball, but I was pretty confident that this is who we would see if we were to advance out of our regional.
How important is playing good defense in a week where you're facing a team that just puts a lot of pressure on defenses with their small ball?
Yeah, I think it's important all the time, and proud of the way we're playing right now. I think we had one error in the regional. We only had one in the SEC tournament that was a catcher's interference call. 2 of the 3 games at Georgia were really good, so I'm pretty confident and comfortable with where we're at. We've adjusted a few things, in terms of how we're structuring the field and the defense, and the guys are executing that, and it's in a good spot right now.
Is part of that just switching Gavin and Jordan occasionally, or
Yeah,
moving the guys
yeah, just doing everything we can to put ourselves in the best position to play good defense and pitch to good defense, and feel real good about how we did that this weekend.
When you do that, what sort of advantages do you get from moving the guys around?
Moving around, yeah, I think athleticism, range, probability as far as where they're going to hit the ball, working to a pitch plan, and putting all of that together to get outs. I mean, when you're on defense, it's all about outs, and when you're on offense, it's all about runs, and just trying to be creative and put our team in the best position to get outs on defense and runs on offense.
Was the Oregon State? It seemed like those were always against the left-handers in their lineup. Were those guys sort of on film and scouting pretty pull heavy? For
sure, definitely. And we did the same thing in Hoover, the back half of the Arkansas game, and in A&M, and I liked how we defended in Hoover. So we decided to carry that forward, and you just got to do it at the right time with the right pitcher on the mound for us and the right hitter in the box for them.
Is there such a thing as rhythm to an offense? I mean, you guys started same lineup, same order, 3 straight games this past weekend. Just what did you like about the way that the guys kind of played off of one another in that order?
Yeah, I just think you're looking at the guys that, as of today, take really mature, professional, and winning type at bats that move the offense, and looking at pitching well in Hoover, pitching well at Georgia for the most part. Looking at the matchup, I felt like there's enough firepower in there that being functional and defending and lining them up correctly, like this is the time to do it that way, and feel really good about where that's at. Now we'll do a deeper dive into ensure that that's the right thing to do this weekend, but really pleased with how those guys played this weekend.
How many fresh relievers do you have in the bag? Because you had a lot you didn't use.
Yeah, it's been a busy day around here as far as bullpens and those types of things, and getting guys on the mound, and Wes doing a good job with that and getting them dialed in. And one of my messages after the game on Monday was there's guys that didn't pitch this weekend that if we want to do the things we want to do and accomplish it, they're going to have to pitch, whether it's this weekend or hopefully beyond that, for us to be where we want to be. And I have great confidence in those guys. Like, Blake Money has pitched really well down the stretch, and it just didn't line up last weekend. And then you have to cover yourself, and the benefit of getting to that 2-0 spot is if you do get tripped up in a game, that you have guys, and we were in a great spot if it got to a game 7 there with Coleman and Money and Collins. We felt like matched up really well with Oregon State. We liked where we were at, and the offense producing the way that it did in game 6 allowed us some flexibility to be patient with those guys and then reset them, and that's not always a bad thing too. This time of year, if you can get a pitcher a little bit of a break, the next time out, they give it a chance to be pretty good. And I'm excited about the guys we didn't use that we could use this week.
Have you been surprised by any of the interest from coaches that have maybe reached out and said they'd be interested in the pitching coaching job?
No, and to be honest, people know me pretty well, and they know where my headspace is at right now. It's going to be the best position in college baseball. That's how I see it. I was at great places as a coach, and there's not too many places I would have left those places from. This is obviously one of them. So I anticipate a lot of interest. But right now, I think it's probably a good sign. People understand what's important right now, and that's this week.
That was such a sort of wild atmosphere right after the game with that coming out. Mm-hmm. Now that it's been a few days, how have you seen the players sort of respond?
Yeah, we're dialed in. I mean, it's just the way of the world now. You don't get to choose things all the time, and we had a plan, you know what I mean, and my plan was to let them know Monday morning at our meeting. We actually had already scheduled the meeting, but then just to get that okay, this is what's happening and it's out. I thought it was important that they heard it from me and from Wes than anybody else, and so we did the best we could with that. And it stinks a little bit from the standpoint of like they just won a championship. Like that's what it should be about, and I think Wes would tell you that too. But we dealt with it well. I thought we had another meeting and briefly talked, and we're locked and loaded for now and moving forward with those pitchers. We're good to go. Having great player leadership helps. With guys like Paul and Ty, jump into the front, and we'll be dialed in. That's with young people, the good thing about them is nothing usually lasts too long, and that's a good thing. That's a really good thing, and we're in a good spot with all that.
It was loud this past weekend, but because of a lot of different circumstances, it was kind of hard to keep it packed. You're more hopeful this weekend. It's more like the Arkansas and Tennessee series you had in terms of the fanfare and the place being packed.
Yeah, I thought when in the ninth, I guess it was the bottom of the eighth, when we got out of it tied. No, excuse me, when we took the lead with Braden's home run, and then the ninth when Gavin was out there with the 1-run lead. I actually thought that's the loudest the stadium had been all year long, and very thankful, to the fans for coming out and sticking with the lightning delay. Monday was a little weird at 1 o'clock. We were the visitors, so we hit later, and I was looking in at like 45 minutes before the game. I was like, is anybody going to show up today? And then they poured in there. I felt a lot better, but I am very appreciative of them for getting here and sticking through the rain delay and then getting here on a Monday. And, we hope we get good weather. We hope they show up, and they're awesome when they show up. It was a great home field advantage this weekend, and we hope it's a great home field advantage this weekend.
How big was it to see Gavin and Griffin get those key outs there in their team?
I've really enjoyed that all year, to be honest. It's hard for freshmen to make a massive contribution in this league. It really, really is. And there's going to be some bumps along the way, but those guys just have character, they have poise, they have makeup, they have toughness, and at this time of year, it's what it's about. It's about just winning players and winning mindsets, and they're wise beyond their years. If I was to point to a couple things, I thought Griffin used his outing at the SEC tournament really well, learned from that, and immediately put it to use. I mean, he's got massive intelligence and massive aptitude.
I noticed that Trey Morgan actually bats really well against left-handed pitchers, even as a left-handed batter. Why is that? Do you know? Or
He's so gifted with hand-eye coordination. He can literally almost touch everything, and usually movement and change of speeds is what left-handed pitching helps make them successful. He can combat that with really good hand-eye coordination and really good bat-to-ball skills.
Is Hayden one of the stronger players you've coached?
1,000%. Yeah, 1,000%. When we got here, I think I mentioned this last week, September of 2021, so the first fall in skill work, and we're going through our hitting process. We were all looking around like, this guy's going to be one of our best guys. And then it just, meniscus, shoulder, elbow, concussion. The poor guy is just like, we just couldn't get him healthy. And then this year there's a lot of competition on this team. And, we got off to such a great start with Brady catching and handling the pitching staff and being a left-handed bat. And Alex was playing at a high level. But he kept working, he kept getting better. And now he's really tapping into that physical potential. And mentally is amazing. He's showing great leadership skills and playing great right now. Big reason why we are where we are.
Pearson just has the clutch gene, the postseason clutch.
He did do well last year. Now that you bring that up over there in Hattiesburg, and great weekend this weekend. Just trust him. And sometimes, there's a reason why we do everything, and sometimes the gut feeling of the person and what your team needs at a certain time. What I've noticed is when I've leaned into him or towards him this year, it's usually been pretty good for our team. And that was certainly the case this weekend.
I noticed you've been putting Ben Nicole in late in games most of the season. Is that something to kind of strengthen the defense in a way, or what's kind of the reason?
Yeah,
for that?
he's probably. I mean, I would give Jordan the nod as our best defensive infielder because of the arm strength, the range, and all of that. But as far as fundamentally sound, knowing who's going to catch the ball and hit the first baseman in the face, Ben's right there as one of the best infielders on the team.
Could we see maybe more of him against a swallow team like Kentucky?
Possible. I mean, it's just such an all game to game, type thing, with that.
For a couple more, y'all.
I know that a good chunk of this course is going to be the last time they get to play in this environment on this field this weekend. Do you get to see that as a coach in terms of them talking about that, or just
yeah, I
what
think
that means to them?
they have really good awareness and appreciation for what they need to do and how they need to do it, and understanding that you don't have a long window, together. Like, there'll be plenty of players back here next year, but this team will never be this team again. And so I think they have good self-awareness and handle all those things really, really well. I mean, I think they're more excited about the opportunity to play great in an unbelievable atmosphere and have appreciation for that. And, that's definitely the vibe I get out of them.
Following up on that sort of draft question, you once said that maybe putting it between supers in the College World Series would assuage some of those logistical concerns that coaches run into. Do you think that would still maybe be a way to strike a happy medium?
Man, I don't know. It's not changing anymore. So I just don't think about it. I mean, I think Major League Baseball found their sweet spot for marketing it and promoting it. I just have a different opinion that it should be earlier because the players are basically wasting a season. They don't get to play very long professionally the year that they're drafted. But I'm sure they have a lot of smart people that work on that and the value of that. I just think it's kind of a lost year for the player. And that's why it's really not a big deal for a player to come back for their senior year anymore, because they're not gaining time really by going out. And so, I'm happy now that I'm thinking about it. As you asked that, Wilson, this would probably be the worst time if you're involved in it. I'll never forget that. I want to say it was Ole Miss. Like, yeah, that's unbelievable. I just think they should have time to enjoy this and have time to enjoy that. And I don't know that there's like a perfect answer for it.
So that's when we go until Cruise. Like, you would waste your year. You'll stay for senior season.
100%. We've already had that conversation. Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you, guys.
I will bring up Todd Floyd.